Class 9, let's continue the chapter number 5, local self-government, urban institutions. Now in today's class, we are going to study about the your municipal committee, its meaning and the functions, right? As well as we'll also study about the limitations in efficient working of the local self-government institutions. So let's start the class. What is municipal committee? So municipal committee is also an elected body of or elected body which is responsible for the smooth running of the civic amenities, civic affairs of the smaller town, right, or an urban area. So smaller town or urban area having less population, right? Okay, it looks after many needs of the people such as health, water supply, sanitation and fire services, street lighting and urban amenities like parks, playgrounds, bathing ghats, etc. Right? So there's a difference in a municipal corporation and municipal committee. So municipal corporation, as I told you, that it is also an elected body of that is responsible for running the civic affairs of big cities, right? Big cities. Now whereas this municipal committee is also an elected body that is responsible for running the civic services or affairs of smaller town or an urban area. Clear? Okay, so the only difference is one looks after the civic services of a smaller town and another looks after the civic services or the affairs of smaller town. So that is only the difference, right? Now next is municipal committees are constituted in towns and cities having a population between 20,000 to 3 lakh. So maximum is 3 lakh. So I told you about the population also. So municipal committees are constituted or small towns or small cities having a population 20,000 to 3 lakh population, they all have what? Municipal committee, right? And more than 2 lakh population, they have the municipal corporation, right? Now next is composition of municipal committee. A municipal committee has 3 main wings, that is a general board or council, and second is the chairperson, and third is executive officer or the other officers. Now let's talk about the first wing, that is an elected board or council. The board or the council consists of the members, which are known as councillors, elected by the adult citizen. So adult citizen means UAF, Universal Adult Franchise. That means the person who is 18 years or above 18 and should be registered as voter of that from that particular area also, constituency. So the size of the council varies from town to town depending on the population. As I already told you, population of the city. The new Nagarpalika Act provides for reservation of seats in every municipality for scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, as well as for women, right? The number of seats reserved for women has been raised from 33 to 50% in some states, not in all states, but in some states the reservation of seats for women has been raised to 50%. Under the new Nagarpalika Act, every municipality will have a uniform 5 years term. So once the person is elected as a member of or elected as a councillor, he or she can serve for 5 years, right? Now, in the event of dissolutions, election would be compulsorily held within 6 months. In case of incapacity or in case of proved misbehavior, they are supposed to in the event of dissolution. In that case, in the event of dissolution, election would be held. New election would be held, and that is to be compulsorily held within 6 months after the dissolution, right? Okay, now next is municipal president. The presiding officer of the municipal board is known as the president or the chairperson, who is elected by the councillors from among themselves only, right? So councillors are there, group of councillors are there, and among those councillor only the president is elected, and who is also known by chairperson. Now in some states the president is elected by the general voters also. By the general voters means UAF. The powers and the functions of the president are as follows. He presides over the meeting of the board and regulates the conduct of the business in such meetings, right? Second is, he is the channel of communication between the municipal board and the government, as we have already discussed this functions in municipal corporation also. So municipal corporation also, it's a mediator between the government and the general publics, right? So municipal committee also, it's a channel or it's a mediator between the government and the municipal board, right? He has access to, he has means that chairperson, that president has access to all records and documents of the municipality. In some states, the presidents are empowered to appoint teachers of primary schools also, and the persons belonging to lower staff. So in the primary schools and the government schools, the president has or the president are empowered to appoint the primary teachers and the fourth class employees also, right, in the primary or the government schools, right? Now next is executive officer and the other officers. Day-to-day working of the municipal committee is looked after by an executive officer. The executive officer is taken either from the state cadre or of municipal officers or from the state civil service. In many states, municipal committees continue to appoint their own executive officers, and those officers perform many functions, such as he is in charge of the municipal office and distributes work among other municipal officers. Secondly, prepares budgets, expenditure, estimates of municipality every year. Third is, he takes part in the meetings of the board or any of its committees. He acts as a secretary in such meetings. So whatever the discussion is done, or whatever the decision is taken in that meeting, he or she has to maintain that record. Fourth, he grants license and contracts for various jobs as per rules of the municipal board, right? Now next is functions of municipal committee. Municipal committee performs or can perform this obligatory functions as well as the discretionary functions. So let's discuss about the compulsory functions of the municipal committee. So it takes care of the public health and sanitations. So it takes responsibility of maintaining hospitals, dispensaries, cleaning of public places, parks and public lanes, streets, and preventing the sale of rotten foodstuffs and adulterated milk also, right? Secondly, it also look after the proper supply of water as well as the electricity. So it is a duty of the municipality or municipal committees to provide the safe drinking water and electricity for domestic and commercial use, right? Thirdly, education and sports. So municipalities establish primary and the secondary schools. They also provide facilities to young boys and girls to develop their aptitude for sports. So they also look after in the field of education and sports. They encouraged boys and girls to develop the aptitude in the field of education as well as sports, right? Next is and they take care of the public works also, like the maintaining and the constructions of roads, streets, shopping centers, and community halls, entertainment, yeah, cinema halls, etc. Right now, the members also keep records of the or maintain the records of death and birth of that particular area, right, of the area. And secondly, come to the discretionary functions. Municipalities have exactly the same discretionary functions as the municipal corporations have, right? Therefore, let's talk about such activities as establishing of libraries and reading rooms, constructions of stadiums for sports activities, organizing book fairs or other fairs and exhibitions, providing transport facilities and other amenities for the people's convenience, right? So these are the discretionary functions of the municipal committee. Okay, now they also implement schemes and programs that aim at providing employment to the weaker sections of society, scheduled caste and scheduled tribe people, right? Under the Nehru Rozgar Yojana, financial assistance was given to small artisans and for the self-employment. There was also a provision for housing and the slum clearance programs also. So such type of provisions for the housing and the slum clearance programs. So such type of provisions for the housing and your slum clearance programs are the, to organize those programs are the functions of the members of municipal committee, right? Now next topic is the sources of income of the municipal committee. So how they earn money. So number one is income from taxes. So they levy taxes on different uh, like which include a tax on property, a tax on vehicles, and tax on advertisement, entertainment tax, tax on cinema halls, etc. Right? Secondly, cess and rates. So the citizens are required to pay the cess on consumptions of water and electricity. So and license fees for some various vocational trainings, and other such C's are the octroi duty and the toll tax also, right? So that comes in the cess. So cess means it's other than the your taxes. So they collect money like because they provide clean drinking water, and they provide electricity, regular electricity. So they levy some taxes on this, and the people, the general public, they have to pay for the consumption of water and electricity provided by the municipal committee, right? So that is the cess and rates. Next is grants and aid. So the grants from the state government they get, and that's the important source of funding, or the income source of income. Now come to the next topic, that is Nagar Panchayat and some local self-governing bodies working in the small towns, known as a town area committee or notified area committee. And this was the Amendment Act of 74th Constitution Amendment Act designates them as a Nagar Panchayat, right? So the members of the Nagar Panchayat are elected by all the adult citizens registered as voters, and seats would be reserved for the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, as well as some seats are reserved for the women also. And the functions of the Nagar Panchayats are more or less the same as the municipal committee, to provide safe drinking water and supply electricity, regular electricity maintenance, and the constructions of roads, streets, dispensaries, hospitals, proper sanitations, cleaning and the lightening of public streets, and maintaining primary and the secondary schools, right? So now come to the problems of urban local government. What are the problems they face? So the urbanization process posed considerable problems to the urban local authorities. The housing problem has a grave aggraved, and difficulties have been experienced in the supply of water and electricity. As we know that the urban local, due to urbanization, they are facing the problem for supplying safe drinking water, as well as the housing problem, and difficulties have been experienced in the supplying of electricity, also water also, right? So it has led to the congestions of traffic also. So population increasing, that means the congestions of traffic, and also added to the environmental problems, right? Next is Nagar Palika Act. So Nagar means it's a city. So what is, according to the Nagar Palika Act, that the 74th Constitution Amendment Act added Schedule 12 to the constitutions, that the Nagar Palika Act provides for the reservation seats in every municipality for the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe and women, and devolutions of powers and responsibility upon the municipalities in respect of preparation of plan for the economic development and levying of taxes. So how much amount is to be levied on the articles, that depends on the municipalities, right? So the municipalities, in respect of preparation of plan for economic development and levying of taxes, and assured durations of 5 years, availability of funds from the consolidated fund of the state. So the term is for 5 years. That has also been amended in the 74th constitutions, and according to this new 74th amendment, it is also told that there should be 5 years term durations, as well as availability of funds from the consolidated fund of state. Now next is limitations in the efficient working of local self-government institutions. Number one is unethical means adopted in elections. As we this point already we have discussed, that unfortunately unethical means adopted in elections, as we know that in elections there is always they play the big leaders and the political parties, they play the money game. So nowadays the money plays a big role in elections. The rich farmers in the rural areas and the traders and the propertied class in the towns and cities squander a lot of money, right? So we also find a connection between the criminals and some powerful persons, both in the rural as well as in the urban areas, and they have the great personalities, or the leaders, they have the capacity, or they have ability to influence the ignorant masses, right? And obviously the money game, or this money nowadays plays a very big role in elections, right? So one can influenced and one can easily influenced by such great personalities, as well as the ignorant masses can easily influenced by getting a lot of amount from the rich farmers, traders, and propertied classes, right? And we also have seen the practice of the big political leaders or the parties, they distribute freebies like your mixie grinders and Mangal Sutra to women, and many more. So these type of unethical means adopted in elections hindrance the efficient working of the self-government institutions. Now next is low rate of literacy. As we know that the many of the districts in the regions where the number of people are illiterate, and that's the alarming even now, ignorance and democracy cannot go together, right? Because ignorant masses, they do not know whom should they give and whom should they should not give vote, right? Because they can be easily influenced by anyone, because they do not know what is right and what is wrong. Now next is communal and caste factors. So it is unfortunate that the candidates are selected on the basis of their caste or community, and voters are persuaded to vote on a caste and religious lines. So this generally happens in the country like India, because we know that our country is a unity or the union of various caste and creed people, right? So communal and caste factor is one of the factors which hindrance in the efficient and smooth working of local self-government institutions, right? So on the basis of caste, caste, creed, and your communal or community, the representatives or the candidates are chosen, right? Now, next is a suppressed position of rural women. So, the 73rd and the 74th Amendment Acts lay down that at least 1/3 of the total members of seats are at all levels would be reserved for women, but when women wish to enter public life, they have to face stiff oppositions from their parents and in-laws. And this is because of India is not a very liberal or because your general gender differences and your discrimination between boys and girls are still prevail in the country like India, right? Okay, now the fourth point is paucity of funds. So that means insufficient funds. The Panchayati Raj and the urban institution have been entrusted with the responsibility of preparing your plans for the economic and social development, rural electrification, slum improvement, etc. But the local bodies, such as your municipal committees and your Nagar Panchayats, they are not provided with sufficient funds. So that is the paucity of funds, insufficient funds to undertake such numerous tasks, right? So obviously, if they are not entitled with the sufficient amount, they are not supposed, or they cannot complete the duty or the responsibility of preparing plans for the economic and social developments, right? Now next is interference by bureaucrats and political bosses. So the political bosses means the leaders use government officials to cause unnecessary interference in the local bodies' affairs. So in brief, panchayats and urban bodies can become responsive to the local needs through effective participations of people and sufficient funds at their command. So for the smooth running of the working of the local self-government institutions, what are needed? One is full participation of the common people, general public, as well as sufficient funds at their command, right? So there should not be the interference of bureaucrats and the political bosses. So bureaucrats means and the officers or the officials of the government, right? So there should not be the interference by the bureaucrats as well as the political leaders or the political bosses, right? Okay, these are the limitations in the efficient working of the local institutions. Now, children, we have completed this chapter, and hopefully we'll start a new chapter in the next video. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.